Good morning, everyone. Call this workshop for December 18th, 2018 to order. Item number, actually, should I run you through the minutes?
No, I want to get Harry done first because he's got to get down to court in case that we didn't think was going to happen, but it is happening today.
All right, okay. Don't forget though, because I don't think it's on there. Oh, there it is.
It's on there. It's after all the hair stuff.
Got it, okay. Go ahead, Harry.
Okay, so, basically in discussions with, trustees and some input from the residents, we've had some concerns about transparency as far as like our zoning resolution and how we publicize it, and basically our notification process. So here's what I did. I reached out to every community that I deal with, from the village of Indian Hill to Delhi Township to Coleraine, Anderson, and so on. So the first part is the standard transparency policies of surrounding communities. And what I did is I listed what they do to be transparent, and those are mostly just zoning items. So as far as providing notification, first class mail, they go out 200 to 300 feet. Their website, zoning amendments. Now this one I found interesting because City of Blue Ash only puts items in the newspaper that address zoning amendments. Everything else, they put on their website, they may post at a specific location and so on. A couple of the other communities put stuff on their online calendar. You also have yard signs, social media, Facebook, Twitter, Nextdoor, email blasts, but you must sign up for this. Paper copies of the zoning items are in their office. One, which is with a residential community, fairly large lots, what they do is they actually meet with each resident within a certain area of that property. So they'll make phone calls because they have the resident's phone number. They go out and they actually meet them to discuss a proposed development. Now in this case, proposed development is going to be a single family home. Public library, that was another one I thought was interesting. Business associations, even had some that they've chosen not to use social media outlets, and I've got that down below as a caution. And here's the thing I thought was important, and we've kind of emphasized this during our zoning commission meetings and so on, is that they rely heavily on community outreach, citizen engagement, and HOA associations. Now, obviously, with emergency type alerts, those are a lot different. I'm not going to address those here, but I did get different websites that they may use to advertise emergency items. So the big thing that I gathered, and this was multiple comments, and I'll just read it social media. They are not wanting to facilitate an online conversation regarding a zoning case. Cases should be decided by a public presentation presented by staff and the applicant. Careful use of Facebook to add to public input process, and not replacing dialogue that should only occur during a public meeting. I think that's important if this board considers to go with any social media outlet, because, and Mr. Miller can address this if I'm incorrect, but the important thing is that any applicant, it doesn't matter if it's for residential or commercial, industrial, that they have their time in front of the board to plead their case, and they not be prejudged beforehand, and that there's not a stigma attached to whatever that may be. It could be residential, it could be commercial. But I think that's important if this board does decide to look at Facebook or other items, okay? And then here's what we have, transparency policy in Sycamore Township. We have the Sycamore Township newsletter, which goes out quarterly. A lot of times we will advertise upcoming big items. We'll look at code items, fences. We'll look at permitting and what requires a permit. As far as planning and zoning is concerned, but the fire department, the sheriff's department, the trustees, everybody has a little bit of input in that. And I think that's a great attribute to what we have in place. The other thing, newspaper, we put all of our major things in the newspaper. Website, again, all major items are listed in several locations on our website. Not only is it listed on our main cover, so the first thing you see when you come up, we have dialog boxes that you can click on, it takes you to that shortcut, and so on. Email blasts. Basically, this is something where you sign up on the township, say, I'd like to get these following items, and they could be zoning cases, they could be trustees' agenda, they could be all sorts of things, and I'm sure the board knows about these things, and I'm just, again, doing a quick comparison. US mailings, we do first and certified mail, and now, we've started doing this, which, our administrator did it years and years ago when he was the planning and zoning director, and we just haven't used it, but we're using it now. We've got a case on Cooper Mill, where they're looking at a zone change. So not only have we reached out to the applicant when they came in for the pre-construction meeting, but also, we're now putting yard signs. So that's what we currently do. And then behind that sheet, I've also attached, our zone change. Now, as far as our zone change items, pre-application meeting, we have an open house. The open house is for the residents and for those who want to comment solely. All we do as a township is we facilitate the meeting, we require the applicant to do this. Now, not every municipality or every township does this. We are one that does require this. So again, in trying to be transparent, and trying to make the public aware of all these things, these are what we do. So pre-application meeting, open house, then they submit. So they're not even submitting any documents to us until after these two things that happen, item 1 and item 2 for the attached sheets I give you. Submittal, again, if it's a zone change, it goes to Hampton County Regional Planning. Then they go to zoning commission, they go to board of trustees, and then there's a referendum. So it's a pretty lengthy process, and we think it's important that all these steps are considered when there's something of major like a zone change. So now, getting to the comprehensive plan, again, this all leads up to that. Our comprehensive plan, you know, there's obviously a lot of things involved in that, and it's not just an opinion-based document. It's fact-driven. It's how our community is going to develop in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And if you look at other adjoining communities, they do have these plans, and they do have projections, and it's not something for those who don't understand how, for example, the zoning resolution's written. If you don't understand the zoning resolution document, it's gonna be a challenge for somebody to understand their land use map, because they work together, and it's not just a single person's opinion. It's the elected officials as the final say on how we're gonna develop our community. And while residents are important, the business community is important, everybody's important on that, there's certain things that will contribute to its success. And one thing that I just wanted to mention, and I'll defer to the trustees on this. Again, this is a very important document that will affect our community as a whole. It shouldn't be single opinion based, it should reflect the opinions of everybody. And that's where the trustees come in, the elected officials. So, one, I think if we're gonna look at having a board that has input in this, I think they need to have some type of background. I think just like any type of board, they need to have credentials. So if they don't understand the zoning resolution, it's gonna be difficult for them to understand the land use map. So it's important to get those people who are qualified, and myself and Greg would be happy to sit down with them, sit down with the applicants, if the board decides to go this route and say, look, here's what we wanna do for our land use map, here's how when we want to set up the board and so on. We'd be happy to sit down with them, review an application, like we have that for the BZA, for example. Now we're receiving applicants with their qualifications, and I think our boards are pretty well educated. When you look at their background, I think that's important when they're making decisions on a zoning case that affects us in the township. So, again, getting back to the land use map, one, I think it's important they understand the zoning resolution, or they can't. If they can't, then that makes it very challenging for them to contribute to the land use map. Two, we definitely need the input from the residents, and if we have a resident that actually has a background in that, that's gonna be a double contributor to us, because not only are they educated in that, but they're also looking at the logical aspects of planning and zoning. So not only is residential important to us, commercial, industrial, all those are factors in the services, for example, that we provide to our residents and to our business owners. So anyway, Greg and I would be happy to sit down, except, for lack of a better term, qualifications on anybody who wants to be on that board if the board of trustees do decide to form a board for the land use plan and so on. So that's all I've got on that. I don't want to bore you too much, but that's where I'm at.
Comments?
Yeah, so on it sounds to me like we've been as transparent or more transparent than any other community. We've checked all the boxes here.
The list I have is an accumulation of 15 different cities. There's cities and townships out in there. One of them is actually the city of Cincinnati. So you're right. We address almost all those items that everybody together does.
Okay.
And we do them all here in one township.
So it looks like we've been front and center on our website for over a year on this, correct?
The zoning resolution?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we
Yeah.
put it up.
Wrong dates as well.
We've had it in at least 2
Wrong dates.
newsletters, correct?
It's been at least 2 newsletters on the website, that's correct.
Anyone can submit a comment at any time. We accept comments no matter what time it is, right?
We actually direct them, if it's an item for the zoning resolution specifically, we actually direct them to staff, and that's me, so that I can review the items and then put it in front of the zoning commission members, ultimately in front of the board of trustees for your review, to make the determination if that's something that will benefit the whole community, or if it's something that doesn't affect the whole community, or benefit the whole community.
After the zoning commission, there'll still be trustee public hearings, correct?
Yep, the trustees will still
Okay.
hear that case.
So, have you've been getting comments for how long, 6 months?
Oh, at least. Yeah, I mean, I can go back and give you the date that I received my first comment regarding the zoning resolution. The proposed zoning resolution.
And they're chatting, you've broken it into sections, and they're at every zoning commission meeting, you've been reviewing it also, correct?
Correct, and as staff, I don't always catch those obvious things that, okay, I could put it out there as 26 chapters and say, here you go, board, and then review it. One of the residents has expressed interest in the items of the zoning resolution, and she said it's very complicated. I don't understand it. I can't comprehend it. It would be much better if we could break that down and spend more time on it. So I took her recommendation. I now broke it down into chapters that I thought we would spend a reasonable amount of time on in each zoning commission meeting. 4 chapters, 3 chapters, some are more controversial, others we just kind of breeze through, and I may have 1 or 2 comments.
I've got a problem with this. You go back to the Jenkins contract, October the 1st, 2015. We gave them $98,975 of lump sum. 2017, we paid them additional $18,219.56, and in 2018, as of a few months ago, we paid them an additional, these are all $5,193.60. We saw the chaos that this land use plan hasn't been updated since, in 16 years, caused with the capital all that happened the last meeting was that Kathy Kugler made a statement. She requested that the township establish a moratorium on the proposed zoning changes. Jacob said that we'd have community meetings. Mr. Bickford, by your admission, said we don't need those community meetings, so we don't need to have Jacobs appear. And I think the residents have some things that they wanna add to this, so I would call Jack Plume and Kathy Kugler and add their input to this, and that we consider a moratorium. And I had made a motion in the last meeting to go along with the residents, and let's just see where this goes from here.
So one of the reasons that I didn't second you last time is because I wanted to be sure that we were being completely transparent, open to the public for any comments, suggestions, or what participation, whatever. It's clear, we've allowed them to participate in any comment they've chosen. He's gotten them for over 6 months.
Absolutely, he has. After the regular meeting takes place, then you can chime in, and these meetings to talk about the zoning changes have happened at 9 o'clock at night. All that Kathy Kugler was saying in that well-written 2-page letter was, hey, let's get together, let's put a moratorium on this, and let's sit down and discuss this. So have meetings where it's not after your regular zoning meeting, just sit down and talk to the residents. This thing has dragged on for 3 years. Let's get together.
That's why there's
So
no
why
reason to drag it
would
out
we
any
do a
further.
moratorium then?
Yeah,
Well,
that
we
seems
want a
silly.
moratorium to get it organized, that the rate we're going
It's
down
totally
will be another 10
organized.
years.
He's got it broken down by chapter.
It's 2018 is when
May I
we do the
speak?
date.
I have been at those meetings. They will be after a very lengthy and important zoning commission. They might not stop till 8 o'clock. And then you're going 4 chapters, and I'm not, able to represent every person that's talking, but you are not representing the residents. And you have the opportunity and the money to reach out in a way where Sycamore Township is reaching out to residents, and not just, how many hits do you get on your website from residents? How many hits do you get? Do you know? You're talking about that as the main way you're communicating. The newsletter goes out every 3 months. Does it go to every single member of Sycamore Township?
Yes.
Every mailbox
Yes.
gets one.
Everyone.
Can you
That's
verify
correct.
that? I know that's not true.
Including businesses.
I know they're not going to every mailbox.
I'm just telling you that they're registered to go to every mailbox. If they
They're
don't show up
not.
at somebody's mailbox, that's,
Does that include apartments?
yes, definitely.
Okay, recently, my neighbor did not get one. The reason was, he bought the house from his mother. She was getting it. She doesn't even live here. I'm just saying, I don't think that's accurate. But back to outreach. If you do the minimum, just because everybody else is doing the
We're not doing
minimum,
the minimum. We're
it's
doing the
not,
maximum.
yes, I say it is. Now, you can say it's not, but I say it's the minimum, because you are not having the response that a vigorous and robust outreach would produce, especially if you would explain it to people. What's on the line here? This is very important stuff. You don't have anything in your zoning that represents improving the quality of the infrastructure for habitat, for conservation. There's nothing in there that requires that. In this red line thing, you didn't get any input from residents about that. It came from you, because that's what Harry told me. He finally admitted they just did not send the document to Jacobs, because that's what he said first. I said, who decided to make these comments or these changes? He said, we just sent the document to Jacobs and then they did it. Well, that's not true. Those recommendations came from you all. They did not come from residents who said, well, I would like to see this or this or this, or let's take out something. So I think the red line needs to be a community-based assessment. And we have the money, and you did it with the land use a long time ago. You know how to do it. It's not hard to hold community forums that represent the community. This format of piggybacking it onto an existing thing, I've been there to 9:30 at night, 10 o'clock. There are very few people that are gonna be willing to do that. So I do not think it has been transparent. That's not my idea of it. And we can go beyond that. We can go beyond what is suggested. Let's raise the bar. Let's be the ones that really reach out. And then you're gonna have a lot of community support. So the idea that that's transparent, I don't
Jack-
agree.
Jack-
Let me say something here, let me say something first. A lot of the changes are born from what we see in daily driving of the zoning resolution. Front yard fence variances, things that people have complained upon. So a lot of what Jacobs had was driven by what has come out of our using this code for all these years. And so, remember, your zoning code is simply that, it's how you can use your land when it's zoned. This zoning code does not change anybody's zone. This is just how you will use the land. Comprehensive plan is going to dictate how we change future zoning for land uses. So your process you've gone through here, you know, from my opinion, after doing this for 20 years, I think has been a very good process. And the fact that everybody knows about it, and there may be differing opinions, but if you haven't submitted a comment because you don't want to, or because you think the process is fine, so you as a board need to decide how you want to move forward. My recommendation, I believe Harry's is as well, having done this for 20 years, is you have a process where anybody can submit a comment, and then ultimately you as the board of trustees will consider that comment when it comes time to finally adopt the zoning code. Land use plan is completely different, comprehensive plan completely different. That is a process where you're gonna want to get a well-rounded group of community people, not just one viewpoint, but multiple viewpoints, and have them take that document forward to the land use plan.
So I would recommend that we move forward on the zoning code. We're not changing any zoning, am I correct in that? We're
We're not changing anybody's property, the current designation of their
Of their
zoning.
zoning.
Tom,
Their
before
zoning is
you-
not changing.
Before you
So-
continue, let's hear from the man who created, was an architect of the land use plan back in, 16 years ago, Jack Quinn.
Can I speak?
Absolutely.
But we're talking about, not talking about the land use plan.
Yeah,
We're talking
we're
about
talking
zoning.
about
Yes,
the zoning
we are.
resolution.
If I could
I'm
speak.
gonna, you can, please speak, but I'm just gonna tell you that I have something to address the land use plan, which is totally different than the zoning. But
No.
go ahead, Jack, I'd like to hear.
Okay. You're congratulating yourself on doing a good job, and I respectfully disagree with that. The notices, and Harry lists, 5 or 6 things, website, email blast. I don't get the email blast. And I've been involved probably as much as most people, and I'm looking for these things, and I can't find them easily. So if you're just an ordinary person, you have a hard time. The fact of the matter is that the process was fatally flawed when it started in October of 2015. That's 3 years ago. We were supposed to get a comprehensive plan document and a zoning resolution change in 20 weeks. Have you looked at that? Have you looked at the Chambers contract lately? 20 weeks. That would have been early spring of 2016. Here we are 3 years later. I have not been able to get anything close to what